I know. So you're probably saying, I'm sick of looking at all this terminology. Show me some examples. Well, now we're going to get into some examples. So the first one here, it says find the measure of each angle. So we got two intersecting lines, and we got the angles that are opposite each other. So looking up above, we have these drawings up here. So we know that they're vertical angles, but we really didn't say why or how they're related. If you kind of look at them, you can kind of see they are going to have equal measure. They're going to be the same size. So not only are they vertical, they're equal to each other. So that's how we're going to find out what these angles are. We're going to set them equal to each other, and then we should be able to solve some equations. So if we said that 3x plus 45 is equal to 7x plus 5, that should be a true statement because they are equal. They're vertical. So how do we solve this again? Didn't we just do this? So if we look at our x's, we can subtract 3x, and we can bring down our 45, and then we subtract to get 4x and bring down the positive 5. And now we're almost there. Let's lose the 5. And so if we divide by 4, we get x equals 10. Don't stop there. The answer is not 10 because what do they want you to find? They want you to find the measure of the angle. So don't stop there. You have to go in and plug in the value of 10. So 7 times 10 is 70 plus the 5 is 75. So 75 degrees over here, and let's make sure it's the same on this side. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 plus 45 is 75. So we're good. So now we've answered the question. Very much the same thing, a little bit messier numbers, but still opposite, so they still got to be equal to each other. So 11x minus 37 equals 7x plus 27. All right, so let's subtract 7x. So 4x minus 37 equals 27. Now we can add. So 4x equals 64. And then if we divide by 4, x is equal to 16. Okay, now if we plug it back in, well, what's 11 times 16? I think that's 176. So 176 minus 37, I think is 139. So 139 degrees. Let's make sure we get the same thing on this side. So 7 times 16 is 112. 112 plus 27 is 139. So we're good. And that should always be the case. You should get a nice answer out of these. Now, as far as the value of x, x may or may not be a nice number. However, most of the time they try to make it a nice number. So, I mean, if you're getting these ridiculously long, crazy decimals, chances are you're probably setting something up or you made a mistake somewhere in the problem. So just keep that in mind. All right, so that's one application. We got our vertical angles, so we can set them equal to each other, and we can find those angles. What are some other cases? Well, the next two cases are related to each other. One of them is a case where the sum of the two angles is 90 degrees, in which case they're called complementary. So complementary angles. But if the angles add up to 180 degrees, then they're supplementary angles. All right. So the setup for them is going to be a little bit different because now we're looking at the sum instead of setting them equal. All right, so in this case here, we have our two angles. We should know now that this side of the line is 180 degrees. So we hopefully should also know then that the other side has to be the same thing. So we have two angles that are chopping up essentially 180 degrees. So those two angles must be supplementary. So we should be able to add these two angles together and get 180 degrees out of it. So now we got to just be careful when we simplify it down. If we combine our x's, we're going to get 17x. If we combine our numbers, we're going to get a positive 10. So that gives us this, 17x plus 10 equals 180. A couple more steps. Let's subtract the 10. And so we're going to get 17x equals 170. If we divide by 17, x equals 10. All right, so we got the value of x. So let's plug it back in just to make sure it checks. So 10 times 10 is 100. 100 plus 7 is 107. Okay. 7 times 10 is 70. Plus 3 is 73. So does 107 and 73 add up to 180? You bet it does. So we're good. All right. Now what about this one? Ooh, what do we notice here? We got that little symbol in the corner. So we know that the overall thing, the overall angle has to be a right angle. It has to be 90 degrees. So we have two angles that are combining to equal that 90 degrees. So we can set up our equation as follows. And so now let's combine our x's, or not x's, but k's. So we got 8k plus 10 equals 90. Let's lose the 10. And so 8k equals 80. Divide by 8. And k equals 10. Now, we've had a lot of 10s. We got a 10 here, we got a 10 here, we got a 10 here. The answer's not always 10, so keep that in mind. But in this case, it is 10. Let's make sure, though. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 5 is 55. And 3 times 10 is 30, plus 5 is 35. So that also checks. 55 and 35 is 90. So we're good. All right, so let's see what's on the next page, and then we can decide if we want to keep going. And in looking at this, I think I'm going to stop here, and we'll pick this up in the next video. See you very soon.